Hello, friends, dirt bags. Lindsay Rhodes and Michael Fabiano here with you on the second Sunday in a row. We're doing these live streams in the hour before games kick off to help you set your lineups. And quick reminder that you can find our fantasy advice 5 days a week on SI's Fantasy Dirt, wherever you get your podcasts. So hopefully you've been with us for some of those conversations throughout the week. And we're excited to continue that conversation with you right now. What's up, Fabs?
What's going on? I mean, there's a lot of news. We had the whole Christian McCaffrey thing go down yesterday, which don't you ever tell me, not you in particular, but people, that there's not a such thing as a curse, because there absolutely is. We had the curse of the fantasies consensus #1 overall pick hit again for the 5th year in a row, and the Madden curse is back. That's all I'm saying. And if you've got Christian McCaffrey and you didn't draft Jordan Mason, you're doing a different kind of cursing.
Yeah, well, you're 100% doing that. That's for sure. Let's get through some of the headlines. And obviously, one of those headlines is that Christian McCaffrey may need a while to recover. Ian reporting that CMC, who was placed on IR, which means that he'll definitely miss 4 weeks. Ian says he might miss as many as 6 weeks to heal from that Achilles tendonitis. So again, like you said, it's not looking good for the #1 overall pick again. Schefter says Puka could miss between 5 to 7 weeks. Ian reporting that he may remain sidelined until week 9. So we could be looking at an extended absence for him. And today will be a big clue for us what that means from a fantasy standpoint. You know, if it's Demarcus Robinson that gets a bump, whether it's Tyler Johnson, whether it's Jordan Whittington, maybe, you know, or perhaps Kyron or Cooper Kupp. We'll talk more about those matchups in just a bit. First, though, Hollywood Brown goes on IR, likely out for the season, we're hearing. So if you don't have any IR spots, then drop him for sure. If you do, I don't even know if it matters, I guess, unless you just want to stash him in case he comes back for championship week or something like that. AJ Brown, I think the big injury news, and we've got actives and actives for today that'll come up throughout the course of this show, which we want to spend primarily answering your questions. But first, from an advice standpoint, absolutely notable that AJ Brown is questionable because he plays on Monday. So this is a decision you have to make right now in a way.
We have breaking news. AJ Brown's out.
Okay, there you go.
Mike Garafolo just posted that AJ Brown has been downgraded to out. So if you have AJ Brown, at least now you have an opportunity to pick somebody up in the games today. Because if you didn't know until tomorrow, then, you know, you would have picked up Jahan Dotson or maybe Ray McLeod or Darnell Mooney. But now you know that AJ Brown is not going to play. So go ahead, hit the waiver wire. And to be honest with you, I'm going to be doing that as well. Because I have AJ Brown in one of my leagues and I spent $3 on Jahan Dotson for nothing. Damn it. All right. But yes, well, AJ Brown now.
But you had to do that. You had to do that. That's the smart way of thinking, because you have to protect yourself. My son, who has AJ Brown on his dynasty team, and I just went through those exact maneuvers last night. Okay, so AJ Brown, that actually helps us that we have that news. Thanks to Mike Garafolo for that. Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze are the other ones, right? Because they play tonight. So you have to make sure that you have another option either tonight or tomorrow. And so maybe that Jahan Dotson will come in handy in that way. Fabs, if
owners, and you know what too, I'm looking at this league. It's like a industry league, and there ain't nobody good even on the waiver wire that I can even use. I could, if you're smart, you put AJ Brown in your flex, and then this way you could either use a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end to replace him. So make sure you put another wide receiver in a wide receiver spot where AJ Brown would have been. Now you put AJ Brown on your bench, or if you're on ESPN, maybe you can put him on an IR spot because he's going to have that little O next to him. But make sure you utilize those lineup spots, those roster spots as much as possible.
Let me just remind you really quickly, that's good strategy always. If a player is questionable, go ahead, especially if they're going to play in the afternoon or whatever, put them in a flex spot so you have more maneuverability. Don't go into the day with them locking up a wide receiver or a running back spot. Okay, let's get to some questions. Let's try and help as many people as possible, and we'll kind of weave some of the active and actives news throughout this conversation. I don't know how to say that name. Is it Noof? I mean, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate you. You want to know about George Pickens or Brian Thomas, doesn't have faith in Keenan Allen playing tonight, which I suppose is fair. But Fabs, if you had those three, what would you do? Would you shelf Keenan under the circumstances or wait?
Yeah, I'd be playing Pickens. No, I'm not waiting. I'd be playing Pickens. I don't love the matchup against Denver, to be quite honest with you. but I'd rather know I'm getting a full complement of snaps than wait until Sunday night and think, oh, damn, he's a late inactive, and then have to play a scum bum. So I'm going to go with Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens, who was targeted 7 times for 6 catches, 85 yards last week. We'll have Justin Fields to work with again today. A lot of talk about whether or not he'll hang on to that job if he plays well, and whether or not Russell Wilson will maybe ever get a chance to see the field there. Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, hi Heidi, lost Jordan Love, which by the way, they were playing with us this week, weren't they? Matt LaFleur
Well,
being
a
like,
little bit.
I don't know if he's going to play this week. And then then they downgraded him to doubtful yesterday. And I think somebody posed the question, like, they did it voluntarily or someone made them do it, because, that's a little shady. He wasn't going to
But
play.
Adam Schefter also said that there's a chance that Love might come back sooner than later. So I think
Yes.
at least that's a positive, because
Yeah,
I don't want Malik Willis to be the quarterback of my
none of
Jaden
us
Reed
do.
shares.
None
I'm going to
of
go
us
Geno
do.
Smith here. I'm going to go
Yeah.
Geno Smith.
Okay. I think that's fair for sure. All right. Next up, we'll just keep them coming here, and we will react to Jalen Reed or Calvin Ridley in the flex spot.
You guys know I love Jaden Reed.
Yeah,
I
don't
just
this week,
can't
though.
trust
I
him.
know.
And I don't even like Ridley. I got to be Sal, I'm sorry. You're not going to get much from either one of these guys, because Calvin's playing the Jets. That's an awful matchup. Reed's got a good matchup, but his quarterback's just listen, from the advanced metrics that we've seen from Malik Willis, I can't trust anybody. I'm only starting Jaden Reed where I absolutely have to this week, and I don't like it.
That's how I feel as well. And we love Jalen Reed. But I would say, if there are, like, he's the only one that I would play from the Packers, right? Like, if you drafted, because I
Yes,
know
yes,
everybody was in
yes,
on different people there from the
yes.
Packers. And I know, yes, I'm
Agreed.
going to have to wait on my Dontavian Wicks. It didn't pan out in week 1. I'm not giving up hope just yet. But anyway, point being, Jalen Reed is the only one there that, under the circumstances, I would even consider putting in anywhere. Higgins out. I have a flex PPR, Zach Moss or Wan'Dale Robinson. Hi, Black Rain 7920. Thank you so much for being with us. First of all, Fabs, what do you think? Zach or Wan'Dale?
I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'm going to go with Zach Moss, but boy, Wendell Robinson's got a really good matchup. So I typically will go with a running back who I know or I expect to get touches against a wide receiver who has a good matchup, but it's not like this guy has solidified himself as a reliable fantasy option. So I'm going to go with Zach Moss.
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson's interesting just because he got targeted so many times. Clearly, that's
Yeah.
not the ideal set of circumstances for New York. You want those targets going to Malik Neighbors, but it's also a sign that things were going very, very poorly, because he's the closer to the line of scrimmage guy with the low ADOT, that maybe he's like, I'm in trouble, and it goes to Wan'Dale, and I'm not 100% sold on that not continuing. I think that Daniel Jones is going to need an outlet guy, and so yeah, in either or situations, it becomes tricky. But Wan'Dale Robinson is not somebody I want long term, but in the short term, I think might actually turn in another performance this week.
Yeah, I'm starting him in a couple of leagues where I need him, but I'd rather have Moss.
All right. What's next here? We'll keep the questions coming. We want to get to as many of them as we possibly can. And by the way, we checked out at a half an hour last week. We went till 12:30 Eastern, which, why do I give everything in Eastern time? Half of you guys are on the West Coast just like me, and I'm done with this deferral, like this deference to Eastern Standard
Lindsay,
Time, like
we
it's
have
how we
more
should all
breaking
live.
news. We have more breaking news.
Hit me.
Evan Engram injured his hamstring in pregame warmups, is out. I mean, you want to talk about an S show of a position. Jeez Louise, that's from Ian Rappaport. So now we have A.J. Brown out tomorrow night, and we have Evan Engram out now today. Not good news from a fantasy perspective.
So what's the pivot? What do you do?
There's not a pivot on the Jaguars roster. So to me, it's
forget the Jaguars. You're tight end. You're looking for a tight end.
It's Colby Parkinson would probably be the guy that I would think would be most available in a lot of leagues where you could potentially go out and pick him up on the waiver wire right now. Zach Ertz could be floating around out there. I'm sure he probably is in some leagues. Hunter Henry, Kate Otten. Here's another. What about Johnny Mundt? Like, you want to go really deep? Jordan Addison's not going to play for the Vikings today. I mean, again, I'm literally like throwing darts here, but Parkinson would be the preferred pivot if I needed to go to the waiver wire right now.
I'm already playing Parkinson in a couple of leagues where I had Jake Ferguson and had to make a move anyway. So if he is available, and unfortunately for you, he might not be, because my guess is that he was
Wow.
the number one added tight end over the week. A lot of people picked him up at a shallow position. Let's get to Nick's question here. He needs two: Pittman, Pickens, Zay Flowers. It's half point.
Yeah, out of those three, I'm going to sit Pickens. Pittman Jr. I'm going to stick with, and Zay Flowers against the Raiders, I'm going to stay with him.
I don't know how I feel about Pittman. I don't know if that's gonna work in the short term. I think Anthony
remember,
Richardson has a lot to learn about quarterbacking before we can expect Pittman Jr. to get hit pretty consistently. I like Alec Pierce actually and he's not a long-term play because he's a low volume type guy, like kind of very boom or bust. But I think if Anthony Richardson is the quarterback of this team, until we see him develop in between the boom plays are what you want to chase, which is Alec Pierce. Less so Michael Pittman. So I think I would probably go Pickens and Zay Flowers at this very moment. And I know that that's not how you drafted them. That's just how I feel about Pittman's likely production until
Pickens
we see
in Denver against Patrick Surtain. Not ideal.
Okay. CJ Stroud or Baker Mayfield. That one's a tough one just because I think this is going to be a big week for Baker Mayfield. I like Baker Mayfield. I like what I'm seeing from Tampa. You can't sit CJ Stroud. You got to go CJ, right? But I'm saying it's a good question.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go CJ Stroud here.
All right. So we are on board with CJ Stroud there and fully prepared, honest to God, for that to be the wrong answer.
Cards.
I'm sorry.
What's
half point card? PPR, flex spot, Dubs, JSN, Madison, or Sutton. I'm not going Dobbs.
Ouch. I'm not going Dobbs. I'm not going JSN after what I saw last week, although that's just 1 week, but still. So it boils down for me to Madison and Sutton. You are, if you go with Madison, you're really like hoping for a negative game script, which is possible for the Raiders against Baltimore. I'm probably going to go Sutton here. I don't love it. I got to be honest with you, Flick. I am not a big fan of most of these players.
Explain further why you want the Raiders running back to be in a negative game script.
Because Madison's the pass catching running back. And so if the Raiders are behind, he'll play more snaps. Whereas if they're ahead, you'd probably see more of Zamir White.
Okay. Worth clarifying, since it's a running back and that kind of goes against, what you would necessarily expect in terms of scripts that you're looking for. Trey Weeks, welcome to the show. So happy that you're here. I need to play 2 wide receivers between Olave, which was so weird in week 1, right? Like everyone ate on the Saints offense. I mean, they were like, woo, coming out of the gate looking so much better than we thought they were going to. And Olave is the only one who got none.
I know.
Anyway, Metcalf, Neighbors, and Jameson Williams. Well, you have good options.
You do. The 2 that I would go with, I'm going to stick with Olave, and I'm going to go with Neighbors over DK. It's real close, but I do have Neighbors at wide receiver 21. I have DK at wide receiver 23.
Okay. All right. I think I can co-sign those. Really appreciate all of you that are with us right now. Excited to have you with us. Just a quick reminder, we're going to take you up to 9:45 my time, which is what I'm now going to say. That's Pacific time for you East Coasters that are like, what's this 3-hour difference you're mentioning? And also you can find us every weekday, Monday through Friday. We have Fantasy Dirt podcast episodes that drop. So follow along our conversation throughout the week, and that'll make some of these start-sit situations easier for you to figure out on your own because you already know the answers. Paul Vieira, DJ Moore, or Michael Pittman. Still skeptical of Caleb in week 2, as am I. I'm still trotting him back out there in Superflex League.
What? You're skeptical of Caleb? What? Are you feeling okay? I'm kidding. I'm going DJ Moore in this because I think the Bears are going to have to air it out. The Texans can score a lot of points, and Keenan Allen's banged up, and Rome Odunze's banged up. And even if those guys are active, like, are they going to be limited at all? DJ Moore is going to get the most targets in that game among Chicago wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree. The whole Chicago thing is going to be fascinating because I expect it will get better quickly. It's not going to look that bad again this week, but how much better, I suppose, is really the question that I'm trying to figure out right now. DJ Moore or Xavier Worthy. Hi, Kevin. Fabs, what do you think?
What's up, Kev? I'm going to go DJ Moore here again.
Okay, me too. Although I am a big fan of Xavier Worthy this week because of the
Yep.
shit talking that we saw from the Bengals cornerback who just shouldn't have said what he said. And whether or not Xavier Worthy is worthy or able at this point of enforcing or executing, taking advantage of his pettiness, we all know that Patrick Mahomes is, right? Like, and you can totally see him just feeding him the ball and then staring down Cam Taylor-Britt. Good morning, Gen 23. Hill played for me Thursday. Me too. Bummer, right? Like, that's not the way we want to start a Thursday night football with a week 2. Anyway, he's got Evans in his wide receiver 2 spot, which is a good play. Who do I flex with Brown out? Charbonnet, Jones. Which Jones do we think he's talking about there? Aaron? Is there anyone else?
I would guess. There's no wide receiver named Jones, so I would think it's Aaron Jones. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I'll continue. I'm just Moss, DJ Moore, Neighbors, or Rice. Holy heck, you have so many. Like, what kind of is this an 8-person league?
I know. I mean, Rashee Rice, dude. Like, I mean, yeah, Rashee Rice. I'm assuming that's Rashee and not someone else.
Rashee Rice or Aaron Jones, if that's Aaron Jones.
Oh, your love affair with Aaron Jones could take a backseat. Rashee Rice is just getting
You don't think
targeted
that
like
Aaron
crazy.
Jones, who was outstanding
Against the
last week,
49ers, I don't know if I want to play him over Rashee Rice.
Okay. Okie doke.
And negative game script potential for Minnesota.
Okay. Charbonnet or Singletary?
I'm
going Singletary.
I'm
going Singletary.
What?
I am. I'm going Singletary. I don't know.
Okay. I like Singletary this week. I don't like him more than Charbonnet.
Hero Killer 69. By the way, does that suck for you guys when we both like have different answers? You're like, womp womp. I'll go to the next show now and ask my question, and someone can nod it. Hero Killer 69. 2 flex spots, half point people. Why do you guys play half point, man? What the heck?
A lot of half
this
pointers.
Is Marvin Harrison Jr., Pickens, DK, Colby Parkinson, and Tyler Johnson. So we want 2 of those guys.
I'm sticking with Marvin Harrison Jr. The matchup is good. He played almost a full complement of snaps last week. And then I'm going to go with DK Metcalf too.
Okay. I'm still stuck on DK. I don't know if I've wrapped my brain around what I think his week is likely to look like this week.
Yeah, I'd rather have him over Pickens, which would be the other option.
How about Wan'Dale Robinson? Look at me like I am Ron Burgundy. It says Wendell. I'm going to read Wendell. Wan'Dale Robinson or Colby Parkinson. A lot of Parkinson questions, which is interesting. I wouldn't put him in the flex spot. Let's address like a bigger issue here because he's coming up in some flex spot questions with some wide receivers that we're expecting to get targeted a lot, some running backs who are expected to have high volume. I would not play a fringe tight end, or even under the circumstances that we saw last week, even a high-end tight end over some of these other options that we're talking about. If you have a startable wide receiver, this is not that situation, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, I got that, right? By the way, this is Saul. We talked to him earlier about the Ridley or Reed question, so he was following up with those 2 more options. Fabs, what would you say there out of those 4?
I'd probably go Ridley still. I don't know if I want to play Wan'Dale over. I like the matchup, but it's still Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah. Okay.
The matchup's better for Robinson. I'm going to stick with Ridley.
Same. Mayfield or Purdy?
Wicked close, but Purdy.
God damn it.
What?
Mayfield, no, I'm just saying, like, Mayfield's one of those guys I wanted to play in one and done, but like sometimes one and done, you kind of like, it's a different frame of mind, right? You're trying to like just max. I could see him having a big week, man. Anyway, Hunter, Charbonnet, or Tank Dell at the flex in PPR?
Charbonnet. Why do you not like Zach Charbonnet? You know what it is?
No.
He went to UCLA. That's why she doesn't like him.
That's not it. That's
100% why. It's 100% why. He went to UCLA. You're biased against the Bruins. You don't like them. You're a Trojan. That's why you don't like Charbonnet.
Dobbins are worthy in the flex. This one's easy. This is J.K. Dobbins. Half point PPR, especially since it's not even full point PPR. Split the difference. I like J.K. Dobbins so much this week. So
I obviously I don't have every single position in my mind memorized, so I'm going to my rankings right now to check.
You have him as like RB24 or something.
Yeah, it's close.
He's not going to be RB24.
It's definitely close. I'm going Xavier Worthy.
What?
You just
J.K.
said you liked him.
100%, but he's also a low volume boom play that I'm saying they're going to hit. I'm saying he's going to put up a number. But you're looking at J.K. Dobbins, who looked great.
He only had 10 carries last week. He's splitting the back. I like him too, but I'd rather play Worthy.
He is splitting the backfield, though he has more touches. He's out touching Gus Edwards.
Wow,
but you're right.
wicked,
Throughout the entire game, they were still rotating in Gus Edwards. So it didn't become a hot hand situation, despite the fact that J.K. Dobbins was exponentially better last week than Gus Edwards from an efficiency standpoint, like exponentially. And by the way, is playing the Carolina Panthers this week. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have one of the best running back weeks again this week. I think that's what we're looking at there. So I would definitely play him. Dotson with AJ out, also have Jaleel McLaughlin, Alec Pierce, or Christian Watson. I would not start Dotson in that situation.
This is a good one. I might audible to McLaughlin this week. Alec Pierce, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's not high volume, he's got to hit a big play.
100%.
And it would either be Dotson or McLaughlin.
I would go with, I'm going Pierce. And it's like I said, I think who Anthony Richardson is at this stage of his development is a boom or crickets type of quarterback. And the boom is exciting, but there's a lot that he needs to get more consistent at in terms of just quarterbacking professionally. So I think his strength is the tuck the ball and run for a big play, and that arm to get it downfield. And again, I think Alec Pierce is the guy that benefits from that the most. So the chances of him having boom games for now, I think is pretty high. Evan, hello, welcome to the stream. Monty or Ford? David Montgomery, Jerome Ford.
In the stream, that is what we are. Oof. It reminded me of that Kenny Rogers. Who is that? Dolly Parton? I can't remember.
It sure is.
I'm aging myself now. I'm going with Jerome Ford against the Jaguars, and I'm still going with Andrews. I'm not giving up on Andrews after 1 week. I will say this: I hope they both have good games, because then I can try and trade Likely, because I could say, "Wait, he had 2 good games," and then I could try to trade him. But I'm sticking with Andrews.
Okay, I'm sticking with Andrews also. The Isaiah Likely thing is fascinating. That's gonna be a fascinating thing to keep our eye on this week.
I want to see how much 12 they run. Again, see if they do that again this week.
You and I talked about this last week, that like week 1 is going to school, right? We've talked about it all off season. We've done all of our drafts. We think we know what it's going to look like. And now we kind of get some notes, and we've got a lot to learn after 1 week. Week 2, now we see what happened that was just a fluke and what actually has some legs, like what's indicative of what they intend to do this season. And so that's one of the areas I think we're going to learn the most this week. That's helpful in fantasy anyway. Need a tight end with the Engram news.
Yeah. So Jacob, in order, I'm only throwing out guys that are, potentially available. Colbert Parkinson, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Johnny Mund, Cade Otton, Chiga Okonkwo, Tyler Conklin, Mike Gesicki. In that order is who I would pick.
So Angie, I see that you are in the chat with a question on Twitter, and I think that answers yours then, because she was asking about how to backfill Engram, whether she should go Hurst or Dulcich or Ertz, and you said Ertz first. So that would be the answer to her. Boss man, what's up? Joining us from YouTube. Pick one to start. Devontae Smith, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin. It's the answer.
I like how you said, I gotta be honest with you. I got Devontae Smith ranked higher. I've got him at 13. I've got Godwin at 15. They're all 3 really good options. They really are. And guys, remember, who's not playing for the Eagles on Monday night? AJ Brown. Who's going to see more targets maybe as a result and be the one? Devontae Smith.
100% Devontae is a good play. Those are 2 very good plays. I think this is a Chris Godwin week for the Bucs, which is why I very excitedly jumped in there. I think that he's going to have a big week.
Not more than Devontae,
against the Lions. And part of the reason for that is kind of what we saw in terms of what they gave up to the slot against the Rams. Think about where the production went there from a Rams standpoint. Think about the big week that Cooper Kupp had, and then maybe think about Godwin in that sense. The Tootsie Pop, what's up, Rage? Guillotine question. Oh God, guillotine questions stress me out because there's so much pressure. And I already started off with a bad week from Tyreek Hill. Ugh. Rashid Shaheed, Tank Dell, Demarcus Robinson.
By the way, you remember that old Tootsie Pop commercial with the owl? And he took, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? 1, a 2, a 3, and then 3. It would not 3. You break your teeth on the damn thing. It would take way more than that. Anyways, I'm going Tank Dell. I'm just saying. I just remember that as a kid. I'm like, wait, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. It's still hard as a rock. I'm gonna break my teeth. My mom's gonna get pissed because I gotta get a cavity. All right, go ahead.
Down memory lane. Okay, Tank Dell. Rashid is a I would say it's between those two. I'm playing. I think I would play Tank Dell over Rashid Shaheed because that's how I drafted them in terms of my drafts, and I'm not ready to pivot off of Tank just yet. Like he'll be that big play. He'll be what Xavier Worthy was last week. Right? Like 3 targets, massive line, touchdown, huge number. That's him. So we got to continue to ride that because those weeks are going to come. Ethan, hello. Thank you for joining us this morning. Calvin Ridley or Jamison Williams, full point PPR.
Ethan, let's do a shot of Jameson together, pal.
I don't even know why you say that. Why do you even say that? Like, you can't make jokes about alcohol when you actually have never had them. Or
I've never had Jameson, but I know it's an alcohol.
100%
so
you haven't.
Try to be funny there.
Okay.
Ethan,
So
me and you
Jameson.
with our fake invisible shots of Jameson. Boom. JW, he's active.
But was also dealing with a little bit of an injury in a limited fashion all week. So something to keep in mind. Savage Elbow. He seems like one of your people, Fabs.
Like, this is definitely one of yours.
Man. This is one of yours with the WWE stuff there. Pollard or Harrison Jr. for a PPR flex.
Oh man, I can't do Randy Macho Man Savage though. Like, because every time I try to do Randy Macho Man Savage, it comes out sounding like Hulk Hogan. I can't do it. I can't.
Try it real quick.
No, because I want to say
the answer.
I try to do
Tell me the answer. Tell me the answer as Macho Man Savage.
Savage Elbow. I'm gonna go with Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, you're a Slim Jim.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm not exactly
I need water now. Savage Elbow. Look at now. I need some water after that one. That was pretty good.
Okay. You don't come to the Fantasy Dirt live stream on Sunday mornings just to get your starts and sits. You get also some really bad wrestling celebrity impressions. Matthew, hello. Thank you for joining us. Keenan Allen, game time decision for Sunday Night Football, worth repeating again for anybody who is joining us late. Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze both listed as questionable, so make sure you back this one up. So Matthew, this is a good question. Should I start Hopkins in his place? Also, Eckler or Singletary in the flex spot, half point PPR.
Singletary over Austin this week. Man, here's the thing. Last week, no, I'm because I don't know how to answer the first question. I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play.
Right.
But DeAndre Hopkins, I don't even have in my top 50 wide receivers this week. Number one, he played a limited number of snaps last week. And number 2, he's playing the Jets.
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, like, Matt, if I were you, I'd be trying to get Demarcus Robinson or check and see what's on your waiver wire. Because Keenan Allen, if I knew he was going to play, I'd play him. But if he doesn't play, then I'm screwed. And if he does play, is he limited? I don't know. Yeah. So like, it's like, I don't know the dynamics of the situation there, but I know that Nuke Hopkins has got a bad matchup and he was limited last week. So like, if there's somebody on their waiver wire, like Demarcus Robinson, for example, like I just mentioned him, maybe you take a look and see if you can grab somebody off the wire. And I'm scrolling through my wide receiver list quickly right now to see if there's anybody, Rashid Shaheed, Wan'Dale Robinson, maybe Darnell Mooney, maybe Andre, say his last name for me, Rhodes,
don't do that.
Whatever the hell his
don't
name
do that.
is.
Don't do that.
Maybe I'd be looking at those guys over Keenan Allen, but if there's nobody out there, I might roll the dice with Keenan Allen because I just don't like Hopkins today.
I don't love Hopkins today. He had 1 target last week for a bunch of different reasons. But I'm concerned about him going into a tough matchup this week. I would definitely, a name that Fabs does not want to say this week that also needs to be on your radar if you're looking to fill a spot like this is Tyler Johnson. He thinks it's only Demarcus Robinson. I would say that it's worth mentioning Tyler Johnson in case Demarcus Robinson is not available on your waiver wire, but Tyler is. Tune. Pick 2, full point PPR, Tank Dell, Scary Terry, Jerome Ford, or Deontay Johnson. 2.
Woo! All right, so I'm going to go Jerome Ford because I like the matchup against the Jaguars, and the second one's probably going to be Tank Dell. I
Me too.
do think McLaurin's a decent play as a flex because he owns the Giants, but I'd rather play Dell over him this week.
Yeah. There's a lot to be worried about with Terry McLaurin. I think that they'll figure it out, but there are a number of different reasons that I'm not entirely optimistic that this is a huge turnaround week for him. And Deontay Johnson, obviously, that Panthers offense needs some work. My husband keeps calling me with his start sit questions, Fabs. He's at work, and I feel like, is he like, there's like 3,000 of you with us. My husband doesn't know that this is what I'm doing right now. So should I like send him a message? Just like hop on the live stream, dude. We're here answering questions. You don't get your own one-on-one service. Anyway, all these start sit questions come in frantically on Sunday mornings, huh? All right. So what else do we have here? Next question, please, Doug. All right. AJ Brown out. Christian Kirk went to the flex to wide receiver from the flex. Anyway, you get it. Hubbard, Tyler
flex.
Johnson, Brian Thomas Jr.
Honestly, I'd probably play both the Jaguars wide receivers. I mean, I know it's not ideal to play two guys from the same team, but I mean, I don't love Hubbard this week. I don't love Tyler Johnson. And so if nothing else, the Browns defense is rotten on the road. At least it was last year. So I'd probably go with the two Jaguars wide receivers. I just don't like either one of the other two players enough to start him over Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas, who did have 4 targets last week, 4 catches. That 4 targets was the most on the team tide. Had 47 receiving yards and got lucky for us with a touchdown there. So he was targeted pretty heavily. Christian Kirk, that was a weird one. Like how Christian Kirk had such a low catchable target
low
rate.
Snap count too. Yeah. Well, I mean, also keep in mind, guys, no Evan Engram. So, I mean, there'll be more targets to go around.
Dak Prescott or Jaden Daniels? This is the question for Fabs.
Here, go ahead, sing. I have Dak at QB6 and Daniels at QB7. Let me just give you a little bit. I love Jaden Daniels. Dak Prescott last year averaged right around 25 points per game at home. The Saints don't have Marshawn Lattimore. This is a smash spot for the Cowboys pass attack.
That's true. Dak. Okay. He certainly, I think, if you are, and we're looking at the morning window game, right? Like this decision has to be made prior to that. Dak is a strong floor. The reason I bring up the time of day is because you might need, like, do you need a big blow up week? Are you coming from behind, that sort of thing? Are you feeling good about it? Like, then if you needed to come from behind and this was a later in the day decision, I might go Jaden Daniels, because I think that ceiling is really high for him, because he was off. I mean, it was awful last week for that offense, but he still got a massive fantasy number because of the rushing upside that he brings to the table. That said, I think Dak has a much safer floor. For a variety of reasons. And so I would go Dak also, but I don't know, that kind of hurts my heart, because Jaden, I think, is he's a pretty big, that was a big time. Dak. That was a big time fantasy number. That was a big time fantasy number. I'm just saying, said this is Fabs. It's funny because Fabs early in the season has proven a little bit to be more risk averse than me, which is totally contrary to our fantasy personalities. But I'm like, he was like, oh, Jaden Daniels is my favorite guy to play quarterback as a rookie. But also, I would not play him this week. That's what he said.
I have him as the QB7.
And I was like, go.
I would play him in most scenarios, but you got Dak. You got a better play.
I know. Well, okay. We're co-signing it. I'm doing that in a much more wishy-washy sort of way, but I guess we're both on the same page there with Dak. Angie. Hi, Angie. Thanks for being with us. Engram suddenly out. We already answered that question for you. The answer was Ertz. Thank you very much. So getting a lot of tight end questions here, obviously, with regards to the Evan Engram news having popped up today, him being ruled out. Other people that are ruled out, Fabs, that we have not mentioned, but probably should. Jordan Love is inactive. That should shock nobody. Kenneth Walker is out, and that's why we're getting Zach Charbonnet questions. Jake Ferguson is out, as is Evan Engram. And so we're a little bit screwed at tight end, answering a lot of those questions. And then also worth mentioning, as Fabs just did, that Marshawn Lattimore from a defensive side of the ball is out. That affects us in fantasy because of the Cowboys offense and their ability to probably move the ball a little bit more easily. J.K. Dobbins or McLaurin at the flex. I'm going J.K. This isn't even a hard one for me.
I'm going J.K. Also, yeah. Matchup's great.
By the way, I don't mean to make you feel like that's not a good question, because a lot of people just picked up J.K. Dobbins on the waiver wire. Maybe he went very, very late in drafts. Terry McLaurin and a lot of high-end wide receivers had off week ones. I think his is one that's a little bit more concerning because I think it's a product of the offensive ecosystem at the moment. Whereas, like, some of the other guys that just didn't get there, you're like, I mean, you're going to have to throw the ball to Drake London. You just have to if you're in Atlanta. That has to be a point of emphasis this week. Same in Arizona for Marvin Harrison Jr. There's some that we're not overreacting to. Terry McLaurin, I am a little bit, just for now. I don't feel comfortable putting him in the flex unless I have to. And J.K. Dobbins is one of my favorite running backs for the week. So that's why I said that one's easy for me. Half point PPR, Drake London or Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I'm going to go Drake. Again, like, we don't really have a lot of data from this year, so you have to kind of use a little bit of last year. The Eagles gave up the most fantasy points to visiting wide receivers last year. They gave up the second most fantasy points to perimeter receivers. Yes. Jaden Reed smoked them last week. Christian Watson had a touchdown. I'm going with London.
Jerome Ford. The whole Browns offense is just so weird, but I think it's definitely notable that in addition to his 12 rushing attempts in week 1, that dominated that backfield. Like, it's not so much of a committee, right? So he's getting a lot of play. 7 targets and six catches. That's a lot of use in the passing game, and I'm not 100% sure.
Game script too. Yeah.
I don't think the game script is going to, I mean, like, I guess I'm saying, like, I'm highly concerned about the Browns offense right now. I am not convinced that game script is going to be any different. So I actually think in that scenario, I might go Jerome Ford just because of the volume. And I know that he's going to be a big part of the offense. And I think that Deshaun is going to continue to look like shit. So let's go to the next question, which is Malik Neighbors or Najee Harris?
Like them both, like Neighbors more.
Okay. I think I'd go Neighbors also. Najee's one of those guys that I have as like an RB2 on a lot of teams, but maybe, flexing down at this point now that like J.K. Dobbins emerged. And I know that that's one that I feel a lot more confident starting at this point. Dotson or Judy. This is.
Yeah. I mean, listen, either way, you're just throwing up a coin and it's a roll the dice. I'd probably go Judy, but it's either. I don't love either one.
At all. At all. But Judy wasn't, it wasn't an awful play last week, right? Like Judy's somebody that I wanted no part of in drafts. Yeah, but what is Jahan Dotson? Like, talk about volatility. We don't even know. We're all putting him in as the guy that gets a bump because AJ Brown is out. I mean, obviously, like you mentioned,
Devontae who else Smith. Would it be? I mean, at wide receiver, who else would it be?
Yes, he's going to be on the field. That's all I'm saying. We don't know that, like, at the end of the day, he's going to have 2 targets or something like that. Just because somebody's on the field doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have any fantasy value for us. And I think that's 100% on the table that Jahan Dotson plays in this game and is relatively silent, and other people who are prioritized more have better games. So if you have another option other than Jahan Dotson, I would probably consider that. Jahan was only attractive to me when you just had to back up AJ Brown and it's Monday Night Football. But if it's an either or and it's somebody that you might actually consider playing, I would probably go with the other person almost all of the time. Jerome Ford or ETN full point PPR. Hi, Kyle. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Kyle. I'm going ETN here over Ford.
Okay. Me too. I'm, by the way, going to stop chatting so much so we can get as many of these in as we possibly can. We're at 38 past
Lindsay
the hour
has a
right
problem
now.
with that. She's a chatty Kathy.
I mean, so are you. So there's that.
I'm a chatty Charlie.
Want to make sure we get as many of these in as possible. And then again, just let me take this opportunity to remind you to join us 5 days a week, the SI Fantasy Dirt podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We can continue having these conversations all week long. Pittman or Brian Thomas Jr., non-PPR. Ooh, that's important. Pittman. I suppose they're 2 wide receivers, so less important, but you're playing standard. Adam, can I convince you to move over from PPR so that I can better give you fantasy advice? He says Pittman. That's what Fab says. So there's your answer. Brett. Thank you for joining us. Again, another standard question. What's happening? How do you still play?
Well, I mean, for a quarterback, it don't matter. I mean, it's Dak. And I'm going Olave. I don't think that's Olivier. Olave.
Typing fast. Got to get these, start questions in so they can set their lineup. Yeah. Jets defense or Niners defense?
Jets.
How are you so confident? You've said several times, Jets defense. Oh, so good. Jets defense.
I don't Will Levis stinks. Well,
Okay,
that's
I'm just
the
saying the
Jets.
Jets defense also stunk
Nothing.
last week.
They
I mean,
played the
against a
49ers on the road.
100%, but I'm just saying, like, they didn't look that great. Kirk or Brandon Cooks with Lattimore out?
I will say this: I like Brandon Cooks, not in this situation because Evan Ingram's out. And remember, Evan Ingram out, Christian Kirk's going to get more targets. I'm going to go Christian Kirk.
Okay. Najee Harris or Wan'Dale Robinson? I feel like we've seen this one before. A lot of people have this question.
No, we haven't.
No?
QB.
Am I making that up?
QB Domi. I like it. I'm going Najee. Broncos are
Okay.
bad against the run.
Jeff Sampson, Ingram out, Jameson, Williams, or Brian Thomas
Yes,
Jr. Is this
not for
wait,
nothing, but that looks like a headshot that you would use like on Hinge or Match.com. Well done, my friend. I'm going Jameson. Wait, he's a handsome guy. Look, he got the good smile in there. Come on.
on Hinge? Like, what about that picture screams he's probably on Hinge? This is what this picture was taken.
Or Match.com. He might be a Match.com guy. I don't know.
I feel like Jeff might be on the back of like a bench somewhere in like a real estate ad. That's like he's gonna sell our house and he is gonna like max my value.
Whatever you do for a
Thank you
living
very
and
much,
whatever
Jeff.
dating site you're on, you're going to go with Jameson.
Oh, he's never coming back. Jeff, we love you. Thank you so much. We've got Jalen Hurts or CJ Stroud. This is Hurts.
First off, trade one of them, and second off, start Hurts. There's unless you're in a super flex league, obviously not. You don't need both.
Jeff wants us to know it's his LinkedIn photo. Thank you very much.
Just all right. I'm just listen. I'm trying to be complimentary, and affable, that kind of thing.
Profile photo.
Oh, it's like it's a.
But if you're
on,
going
to put your best picture forward on those dating sites. At least I try to.
Okay. Half point PPR. I told you I was going to shut up so we could get through these, so I will. Flowers, Godwin, Garrett Wilson. Start 2, bench 1.
Yeah, Flowers is on the bench.
Yep, me too. All right. Yay, we did that quickly. Yay for us. Komet, Conklin, Hurst, shit show at tight end. Sure is.
Zane, you may as well just type it in because Lindsay is throwing the S-bomb out there like it's, like it's nothing. I missed it. What were the options?
There we go. Conklin.
Conklin or Hurst. I'm going, bleh. I mean, I don't know what the Bears wide receiver group is going to look like, so I'm probably going to go Conklin.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. What I thought you were going like, I don't know what the wide receivers look like, so I'm going.
No. But like, say if Keenan Allen and the Dunze are both out or limited, then Komet's a little bit better, but I don't know that's going to be the case. So,
by the way, I don't think you need Komet. If you have those 3 tight ends on your team, I think you can drop Komet and go either or the other 2 on a week-to-week basis. PPR: Ford, Brian Robinson Jr., DJ Moore.
Now that right there is a good Hinge profile picture. I'm going to go DJ Moore.
That's better. Yeah, that's more Hinge. Yeah, because it's like, look at me, come date me. I'm super fun. Look at my fake mustache. Should I bench Marvin Harrison Jr., add Malik Neighbors as my wide receiver, and add David Montgomery in my flex?
I don't. I have Neighbors ahead of Harrison Jr. this week. I do like Harrison Jr. this week. I would not be opposed to playing Montgomery though over him.
Me too.
Just saying. Yeah.
This week.
Yep.
Jaden Reed or Javonte Williams. You guys are these are good ones. These are tough.
I know.
These are tough.
I'm
still going Jaden.
I hate them both this week. I hate them both this week so much.
Okay, but still it's Jaden.
Like no burn last week at all. Okay, go ahead.
It's Jaden.
Lindsay on that.
Del McBride or McLaurin?
Ooh, McBride, baby. McBride. I love McBride. I'm going McBride. Against the Rams, they're lousy against tight ends. At least they were for last season. And,
I think
I'm going McBride. I know you got a Dell thing.
I hate
going
to fight
today.
with you. Yeah. Full point PPR: Ramondre, Dobbins, Marvin Harrison Jr. You could pick 2.
I'm going
Ramondre and Dobbins.
I'm going Ramondre and I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, what are you doing with Dobbins this week? I can't wait to join you again.
I've already said where
on Monday.
He'll play. Okay.
On Monday, we will be back to recap what happened in this week's games, and don't you doubt it that Jacob Dobbins will be revisited.
Need him, and that I don't think they need him. I'm going Harrison Jr. I'm not giving him up after one week.
Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard,
Jones.
Okay,
easy peasy. Easy.
Thank you very much for joining us, you guys. We're going to get one more question in, and then we're going to tap out and go set our lineups. I need to make sure.
I know, dude. I got to go. I think I have Evan Engram in a couple of leagues. I got to go figure out who I got to replace him with now. And I went back and looked. And Dotson was the best option. There's crap on the waiver wire in that league because it's like an analyst league. So I'm going to start John Dotson. So sneaky defenses for this week: Colts against Malik Willis, Chargers against the Panthers. Maybe they're not so sneaky. Seattle, Jacksonville against Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Maybe the sneakiest is the Commanders because their defense is not great, but the Giants' offense is, potentially good for a couple of turnovers, maybe a pick six from Daniel Jones. So those would be my sneaky plays at defense.
Did you not say the Chargers? Do you just not think they're sneaky enough?
I said the Chargers.
Okay. All right, guys.
We're like an old married couple, even though she's married to a very dear friend. Like that's, so this is what we do. I said the Chargers, honey.
He's
look at
very weird. I don't need the honey.
Your husband is calling you. He needs fantasy football advice. Go answer the phone.
Okay. Jaden or Kyler, real quick, Jeff. I'm gonna go with Jaden there. I don't know if Fabs has a different answer. But again, so thank you so much for joining us. This has been really fun. We'll be back again next Sunday answering your start sit questions, 9:00 Pacific, 12:00 Eastern. We'll take you 45 minutes closer to the game starts. And I hope that you will join us throughout the week also. We'll be having these conversations all week long, hopefully make these starts and sit questions a little bit more obvious to you. You'll know what our answer already would be because we've already discussed it throughout the week, Monday through Friday, Fantasy Dirt. Whenever you like to listen to your podcasts and wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. So I hope that you will join us for that and enjoy the games, guys. Week 2. Phew.
Good luck, everybody.